Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking God and Politics with Mark, Mike, and my lovely wife, Denise. Mark, how you been, sir?
Oh, good. It's been a crazy week, man. It's been a lot going on.
We have a lot to talk about, and we won't lead with some of the things that are really going on. We'll kind of save that, but you have something special you wanted to share on the USS Liberty. And, a lot of Americans still don't even know what that was about.
No, that's right. I didn't for a long time. For everybody that watches on Rumble, you'll notice that in the comments or in the information section, I always post a link to the Mises Institute. The Mises Institute is a nonprofit organization around teaching the Austrian School of Economics. It's also promotes individual liberty, honest history, and of course, international peace. And it was founded based on Ludwig von Mises, Murray Rothbard, if anyone that's into the Austrian School of Economics, which is, by the way, 180 degrees opposed to what we have today, which is Keynesian economics.
I think we have Jewish economics, is I think what we have.
Well,
we have Rothschild economics.
So anyway, they did they had a special where they brought in one of the guys that survived the USS Liberty in 1967, which was a U.S. ship which was out on the in the Mediterranean, and it was a spy ship. And I'll let him kind of introduce it a little bit, and then I'm going to just jump around to specific things. But he's almost 80 years old. He's kept this for a long time, and he reached the point he was like, I can't keep this under wraps anymore. It's worth watching, and I'll have it in the link in the video on the Rumble, on our Rumble channel. I'll put the link to it there. But man, it was cool. So I'll just kick that off. Let's see. His name is Phil Turney, and he's one of the few that survived to tell the story.
USS Liberty is a story that's been covered up for far too long. You've never heard it because it was covered up. They used us, the crew of the USS Liberty, to be eliminated by the Zionist state of Israel. LBJ and a handful of others, McNamara is a good example. They got this cabal of a few people together to send us into a war zone. Our usual steaming was from Norfolk, Virginia into Africa. We go up and down the coast all the time, 4 or 5 knots, picking up signals out of the sky. It's perfectly legal. Everybody did it. We were the most sophisticated spy ship in the world at that time. The most sophisticated. We could bounce messages off the moon and get them back to National Security Agency within 3 seconds.
So they were sent out there to spy to see what was going on the war, and Israel knew that the U.S. was out there.
We were actually spying on Israel because we knew that they were going to start something with Egypt. But yeah, but there's a much bigger story.
Yeah, and people don't realize how close we were to World War III with this after this was done, because this was done as a setup.
It was designed for World War III. Yeah.
That's right. And how many of those have we had since then? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm going to jump to, I think it's about 11:30 here. And like I said, I'll have the link. Anybody that doesn't know anything about it, man, this guy just lays it out, and it's great. I'll have the link.
Yeah, I think
he saved all of
interviewed him.
Yes.
Yeah,
she did. Yep.
Was right here for this moment. For this moment. To expose what Israel and the United States concocted to get us into World War III. the attack from the torpedo boats lasted for an hour and a half. We had three flags we put up. 2 were shot down on the initial. There were 5 by 8 flags, big flags. They shot 2 of them down. They put another flag up. I didn't personally, but the signalman did. A 7 by 13, which is called holiday colors. You could see it for miles and miles and miles.
They put up 3 flags to let them know that they were a U.S. ship.
Yeah.
And he also goes on to say when the attack happened, it also took out all their communication. Before they started trying to sink the ship, they wanted to make sure there was no identifying it as American. And secondly, no way to radio for help.
The wounded off and the dead, except the ones that were.
So this was after they sank the ship.
No, they didn't sink the ship.
Or no, it did not sink. And
Yeah.
I'll get to that in a second. But once they stopped attacking the ship, and then they began to see, okay, they've got to come and get the survivors, which, by the way, they let them sit out there for like 2 or 3 days before they came and got them.
Mhm.
But they did get them. They got him back to sick bay, and now he's going to tell you what the admiral said to him when he came into his hospital.
In the torpedo hole. Here comes Admiral Isaac Kidd in Ward, Boston, doing a board of inquiry. And he got us in small groups. I was in sick bay with 5 other guys. And we felt kind of relieved because he took his stars off and he threw them on the stainless steel table. It ran out like a bell. It really did. I said, wow, this is pretty cool. He says, I'm just like your dad. Just please tell me everything you saw and heard. And I did, as everybody else did. And he got right in my face. And he says, I'm going to tell all you SOBs, if you ever repeat a word you just said to me to anybody, I'll make sure you end up in prison, Leavenworth, or worse. You know what worse means?
Dead.
I said, yes, sir, I do. So they beat us up. The Israelis beat us up, and our own government beat us up mentally. Tell us never to talk about it.
LBJ, the guy that
There's no telling.
helped assassinate Kennedy.
Another friend of mine, Captain
Yeah,
Hoover of the
nukes
USS
for
Pueblo,
Israel.
which is in North Korea right now. I was talking to Mark about it. He's been on that ship. By the way, thank you, Mark.
So right here, he's going to talk about how many times that USS Liberty was hit and never sank, never went down.
Yeah, God's providence.
Amen.
It's a pleasure talking to you. He said they'd never been captured if they'd known about the USS Liberty. It was so tightly covered up, and it still is today, that people simply believe that Israel did it by mistake. No, it was a pre-planned attack to kill us all and get us in a lot of trouble, more trouble than we ever thought of. We were close to a nuclear war. There were SAC aircraft in the air headed to Cairo 6 hours before we even got attacked. So the mighty IDF, in this 2-hour bloodbath, they couldn't sink a whole World War II ship. And they couldn't. I bet they're still scratching their heads. They can't figure that one out. Has anybody in here that know any survivors from a torpedo attack? I know one in here. I talked to Indianapolis. I guess I'd call him an expert. There's one survivor left. He's 98. They hit that ship with one torpedo. It was a big ship too, and it brought it down immediately. But that ship, our ship, took all that, stayed alive. Is our own government. We've seceded our power to a foreign country. Israel controls us. They control the Congress. They control the Senate. They control our money. We don't control our country. The Zionist state does. Does that make them the real bad people? No, the real bad people are the people letting them do it.
True.
That's the people, the real bad people.
Anyway, great. It was a great thing. It goes on. I think the total run time's 35 minutes, man. He gets into a lot of details about the ship and where it was hit and how they were how they had to wait. Man, it was a great interview, no question about it. Or I mean, a great. And I'm not sure what Mises was doing there. This was back in May, and I'm surprised that I'm just now hearing about it. I guess I saw it on X.
This guy's made his rounds. He was on Candace. He was on Stu Peters. I mean, he's been doing.
Yeah,
a lot
he mentions that. Yeah, he mentions that. And at the beginning, I didn't play it, but he talks about how he had shut up after that admiral came in and basically threatened him. He said, you know, when the U.S. government threatens you, you kind of be quiet. Mm-hmm. And he said he just couldn't live with it anymore.
Yeah.
Especially with what's going on now.
Yeah, exactly. So the chronology of this is Kennedy doesn't want Israel to be a nuclear power. Kennedy wants Israel to file under FARA as a foreign agent, register as a foreign agent. Israel refuses. Not long after that, Kennedy gets shot, assassinated, we believe, by Israel. There's a lot of good circumstantial evidence for that. And LBJ, who definitely was directly involved, all the evidence supports that. But LBJ was a Zionist shill waiting in the shadows to be Israel's dog king for us. So immediately after Kennedy is assassinated, LBJ comes in. He completely shuts down Israel having to file as a foreign agent. Totally, has no problem with their nuclear capabilities, which they stole from the United States. And we have this issue. We had this issue, I guess, before, but it's just a travesty that this is where we are. And yet growing popularity is just swelling against Israel all across the world, and even in the Republican Party. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is knocking it out of the park lately. Here, we'll play that clip. Unless you got another clip you wanted to play.
No. Did you see that picture of all of the people in Australia going across the bridge in protest? Go ahead and play your clip. I'll try to find it.
Okay. There we go. All right.
You're touching on something I think a lot of us in MAGA world are a bit confused about, right? And it's this whole idea of America first. I believe, I'll speak for myself here. I believe America first means enough of the foreign wars, enough of funding, backing Ukraine, enough of sending money to a Middle East conflict between Hamas and Israel, enough of all of those things. Let's bring it back to the United States. Some of the things that the administration has pivoted on. I mean, I believe Trump said he was through with all those things before he was elected. Seems to have changed. Now, I also read in that article, in that interview, that you don't blame Trump, you blame the party. As the leader of the Republican Party, doesn't the buck stop with Donald Trump?
Well, for one, it seems to be all the people that did not support him during his campaign. I was one of the loudest people that supported him during the campaign, but it's all the others that came on after he won the general election. Those seem to be the people that have the red carpet rolled out to them to the Oval Office. And I think that has a lot to do with who the people are in the White House. Also in Congress, it's interesting how I have all these Republican colleagues of mine who were hardcore never Trumpers, hardcore anti-MAGA, but yet all of a sudden they're running around wearing MAGA hats and boasting about every time they talk to the president. And so I don't think the president is listening to the right people who are his true supporters, people like myself and others. It seems to be everyone else has, establishment Washington, establishment Republicans, the people that the base is absolutely sick of are the ones that have the president's ear. And I find that very frustrating. And I think that's why we're seeing the results that we're seeing. But Eric, you're completely right. We said no more foreign wars. And here we are, we are continuing to fund Israel's war, basically against whoever they want to go to war with. And Republicans will never back off of that. At least they showed that when I introduced an amendment to stop funding it. There were only 6 members of Congress that voted for my amendment, and that includes myself. They're running back into providing weapons and funding for Ukraine, which is absolutely ridiculous. Americans across the board do not want to have anything to do with that war, and we don't want to go to war with Russia. We aren't interested in that at all. But I think what is bothering so many people is to see the America First president and the party that's supposed to be America First making it what seems to be a departure from being actually America First. And I love the president. I support him, but it's the right thing to do to call this out when I see it. And when I'm hearing it from my constituents and hearing it every single day from people all across the country.
Yeah. And unfortunately, in the midterms, you're going to see it, and people are going to vote for the wrong candidate because that's all they're going to have, because they're like, well, I'm not going to vote for the Republican because we'll get some of the same stuff. So they're totally ruining everything that we had.
Yeah.
So, you look at this. So, they shut down early so that they don't get a vote on the Epstein thing. And it's so this guy can go to Jerusalem. And by the way, he is a professed Christian, and no Christian should ever do this, ever.
It's idolatry.
Absolutely, 100%.
But he thinks it's okay because he's praying to Jesus for God's people.
Yeah.
It's just.
You have Mike Huckabee, and then his daughter goes there. It is insane how these Christians think that this is right. It's insane.
It's generations of propaganda. It's just all they've ever known.
But here is, I'm not going to play the audio. Well, I guess it's going to automatically play it. Let's see. Look at that. This is on the bridge in Sydney over the past weekend in protest.
What are they protesting?
The Palestinian
genocide
that is going on, and the famine that is being perpetrated by the United States government in Israel. But look at that, man. You talk about people sick of it.
Yeah.
But what does it matter? Their government is run by, the World Economic.
Oh, the same. Yeah, of course. But
that's
at least you see the people are tired of it, and I'm seeing more and more on X. People are starting to see, and hopefully Christians will. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if Americans realize that we're being drugged down with Israel. The world hates Israel right now, and the world hates us because we're the only ones doing their bidding for them. Without us, they couldn't do what they're doing. And so the responsibility really does fall on us.
Yeah, I've got a clip too. The Irish president calls for potential military action in Gaza. He wants the UN to invoke Chapter 7, which will allow international forces to defend the aid in what's going on over there.
I love how today on Fox News, all they did was show this video of one of the Hamas people or one of the Israeli hostages that Hamas has, and he's super skinny and they're starving him. and they're making him dig his own grave. I'm guessing that they're starving him and showing it on tape as a demonstration of, if you're going to starve all these kids, we're going to starve your people, is my guess. But no, the whole thing was, oh, poor Israel. Israel's the poor victim.
Yeah.
That's not, there's no video shown of the kids starving.
Well, yes, they use that one clip and they put it everywhere, but you won't see the hundreds and hundreds of clips of what's been going on
in Gaza,
really since what? March, February.
Yeah, for a long time.
And at this point, it's just a little too late. I'm sorry, whatever Ireland's saying or whatever, Trump's trying to, they have wiped these people out. There is just not much left. And Bibi's talking about taking it all over, just like, we knew that was the plan all along.
Yeah, that came out today.
Now there is, let me play this by Harrison. He has an interesting take on the Epstein thing connected to
criticism.
Yeah.
Criticism of Israel.
Yeah, let's pull this up here. Nope. It's not coming up. There we go.
What if I told you that the entire Epstein Files saga is a giant psyop of Israel, specifically because Trump is not actually pro-Israel? Does that sound crazy? Does that sound like some QAnon stuff? Does that sound wildly anti-Semitic to you? Because that's what they say they're doing. Okay, this is from the Times of Israel, called Trump, Israel, and the Epstein Files. Trump and his administration criticized Netanyahu and Israel, and now the Epstein Files are haunting him. Yeah, that's really all you need to know, but I'll continue. For a long time, the files had subsided in the background. They weren't considered to be much of a threat to Trump, but all of a sudden, right after he started up with Israel, the files surfaced and they seemed to be overwhelming him. Trump decided to bomb Iran's nuclear sites, and that's commendable. But reports later surfaced that he rejected the option to bomb for a week's time in order to finish off all the sites. Thus, only Fordo was severely damaged, while other sites only had minimal or no damage. So you see, with everything Trump has done, with everything Trump has committed for Israel, they are not satisfied. It's not enough for them. He bombed Iran, yeah, but only once. He was supposed to bomb for a whole week. He's supposed to be bombing to this day. They're supposed to have boots on the ground. So now the Epstein list is going to be a big problem for you. That's what you get for messing with Israel. And by the way, what I just said, pretty much verbatim, the next line. Okay, so they run through all these things about how the Trump administration, despite being suicidally committed to Israel, they're not doing enough. It's not enough. They occasionally criticize Bibi Netanyahu, and therefore, quote, and now some old files are threatening him. Perhaps Trump will realize that it doesn't pay to start up with Israel. So they're telling you, pretty much verbatim, because Trump is not sufficiently pro-Israel, because he's criticizing Netanyahu, and because his administration is not willfully going along with the discrimination against Christians in Israel, now the Epstein Files are haunting them.
It is. I am seeing, I would definitely not argue that point at all, because I am seeing more and more pictures and video. It's like, I didn't see this many videos and pictures of Trump with Epstein while he was running for president.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden in the last 4 weeks, there's been a lot more. So yeah, I have
there's a lot of stuff that's photoshopped. There's just a lot of stuff that's photoshopped and that's being regurgitated that's not true. And I have a hard time going with that, because I would think that they would have used it a long time ago, unless they were really, really keeping it as an ace in the hole. But we just think that they've doctored it,
Mm-hmm.
and
think,
maybe they doctored it really, really good.
Yeah, because some of the video that I had never seen before, some of the videos, maybe they are. I don't know. The
Mark,
photos I could definitely see.
Hang on a second. Mark, think about this. Look what they did with Russiagate. and how it had absolutely no substantiation at all, nothing verified. And look, that led to 2 impeachments. It crippled his first administration.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if it's a nothing burger in the Epstein file, they know that if they throw that red meat to the Democrats, and if Trump loses the primary or the midterms, that will just destroy his second term. So that's what I think is going on, is that they've doctored this file. And, Trump initially lashed out like a child. Well, then screw this, no more talk about this Epstein stuff, which made it look worse.
Right.
So, yeah, I just think it's doctored. And even if it's doctored, that's going to be a serious, serious problem for him, because the Democrats are going to eat it up.
Well, then because he didn't release the Epstein files, now everyone is making up stories, photos, videos.
Yeah. Maybe this is a wake-up call for Trump. Maybe this is something Trump needed. Maybe in God's providence, this is what he needed, because Trump is clearly theologically ignorant and a Zionist. There's no question about that. Him and his father both. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's something like this that really needs to wake his butt up to, like, wow, these people are truly wicked, and they are running our government, and they're trying to run me, and I'm not going to let it happen. Let's hope. But let's segue, babe. Why don't you introduce to us what is going on with this whole FEMA thing?
Oh, yes. So the 35 states that have laws that if you criticize Israel, you do not get the FEMA funding for natural disasters. Yes. So that's received a lot of backlash. And if you notice the news, there's been a ton of back and forth. Has the administration taken that away? Because there's a tremendous amount of backlash, and they're saying, and rightfully so, that this is just like what happened in Western North Carolina when the storm hit, and those who had MAGA flags flying in their yard, or who had, Trump flags in their yard or Trump signs, didn't receive FEMA funding. It was discrimination. So it's rightfully being pointed out that this is no different.
Yep. No, there's not. I mean, the bill that passed, where companies can't protest against, they can't say they won't do business with Israel. I mean, it's ridiculous. So if you notice what they're doing, they're attacking companies, they're attacking states, because they know they can't attack individuals, because if they start attacking individuals, then you're going to see a huge shift, and they're going to lose a lot more than they're losing now. If you start writing laws where individuals can't say something.
Well, even Alex Jones is saying, well, the administration is trying to backtrack on this, but he says, but I know Abbott, I know the governor of Texas, he has come out and said that if this district criticizes Israel, you'll get no funding. Like this is a thing. Christian Zionists, Talmudic Zionists in these different states, they run the ship, and they've been saying this. It's not like it's a secret. It's not like it's, hidden.
Right.
So it's got to go to the Supreme Court. It's got to go to the Supreme Court. I mean, I don't know how, but it has got to go immediately, because it's an
egregious attack on our First Amendment rights for freedom of speech.
Oh, yeah. You don't hold the correct political view of Israel, so you deserve to die in a flood, or have your entire inheritance or your family wiped out. I mean, give me a break.
Well, they won't. That's right. They won't. So they first went for the the people coming over from foreign nations to go to college. Then they went for the corporations. Now they're going for the states. And he's doing what he can within his power to do that, which is, Yeah, dude, the midterms are going to be so bad. There's been so many people jump ship on this whole MAGA thing. It's just not good, man. He has totally lost everything. He is so in the pocket.
He's trying to save face by doing stupid things like we're going to investigate Pelosi for inside trading,
Right.
whatever. We're
Yeah.
finally going to call the Clintons to a grand jury trial in Florida. Congratulations. You didn't put it in DC, which would have been a total nothing burger. It would have been just for show, but it seems like you're trying to do something in Florida. Great. But Mark, this is low hanging fruit. This is not what the American people are pissed off about at this point. They're pissed off about their money going to Ukraine and Israel. Right. And that is the issue that Trump needs to get a grip on. If he doesn't, he loses his base. Period.
So here's my question. So I get the whole Israel thing, but why the Ukraine thing? Is it because of the billionaire donors?
No, he's trying to create peace over there, and he's trying to put pressure on Putin. But but this is what he needs to do. And I was talking to Denise about this earlier. This is what you need to do. You need to say, look, we're out of it. We're completely out of it. If the rest of NATO wants to go to war with Russia, knock yourselves out. Now, if you want to pay for military equipment from us, great. But we're not giving you money. We're not giving you our taxpayer money and giving you this stuff. If you want to buy it from us, knock yourself out. But we're not in this. That is the just and the righteous thing to do. But Trump, I don't know, man. He thinks he's got to solve this. He advertised as he was running for president that he was going to solve that conflict the next day. That's what we heard. So I think his ego has locked himself into this self-destruction with UK and Russia when the just thing to do is just to step out of it as he should with Israel and say, you guys fight your own damn holy wars, blow yourselves up, whatever. We're done. But he can't do that.
That's what I'm saying is that why? Okay, so yes, he did. He campaigned on, I can end this war in a day. Then now he's attacking Russia for the war. That's not going to end it. They're a superpower. They've got enough resources. They could keep this thing going on forever. So, and at first it seemed like he was turning his energy towards Ukraine and, what's his name, saying, look, dude, you got to stop. So I don't understand this. Either the UN's gotten to him, something's happened.
Trump had an opportunity to prove to Putin that the United States is not run by the CIA. Because that is what Putin says in just about any interview. He says, I never deal with the US presidents because they're not the ones in control. I only deal with the CIA, unfortunately. And, so that's kind of where we are.
And they're
been done with the CIA, just like nothing has been done with the FBI. Nothing's been done. We're still running things the way we have been. And yay, awesome. Clinton's finally been called, subpoenaed.
He'll probably die before he gets
Brennan's been subpoenaed. Yay. Even Bill Barr has been subpoenaed at this point. Oh, yay. Once again, shiny distraction, giving the MAGA base something of what they wanted. It's not necessarily low-hanging fruit, but it is not the crux of the problem. And I'm having a hard time understanding what the play is with Israel. I mean, with Russia. Like,
yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it.
It's so honestly, I believe that Russia is becoming more of a Christian nation than the United States is. And that's the ironic thing. I don't know if you saw this. This was interesting with Putin. Putin declares Russia free from Rothschild influence. Our future generations will be born without chains around their wrists and ankles. A bold rejection of global financial control and direct challenge to the Western banking power.
Does he mention Rothschild?
Is that it?
Whoa.
Yeah.
And so Israel's using us to go after him.
So Trump really is. So Trump is Israel's bitch, and so now Russia is our enemy.
That's what it looks like to me.
You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, you know, that's what they did to Germany. That's what they did to Germany. Germany was the only country to stand up to central banking, to the Rothschilds. And unfortunately, we were there back then too. And wow.
It's going to end at some point. It's
got to at some point. But they've had so much money over so many generations, and they've infiltrated so many institutions with
for so long.
Because you look at how can 1% to 2% of the world's population control so many things? Well, when you have the Rothschilds, you know, having so much money, they've been able to do that over generations. That's how we got to where we are. And until you deal with the Fed, all this is a joke. That is the cornerstone. That is the foundation. That is how Israel has us cornered right there. And unless that ever gets dealt with, everything else is symptoms.
No, that's absolutely true. And I don't think we will ever deal with the Fed. I don't think we could have a revolution or find a candidate or candidates, because it would take not just a president, it would take a House, Congress, Senate full of Ron Pauls and a president to get rid of that. So I think the great default is inevitable. And I think that's what's ultimately going to destroy the U.S. economy, the dollar as the world currency. And, you know, not that we're going to go, the United States is going to become a third world country, but we will not be the superpower. And it may take a few generations, but it's going to happen. The great default's coming without question.
Well, if you look at our major cities, they're already looking like third world countries.
Oh yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
It's not that much of a stretch to assume that eventually we're all it's going to look that way everywhere, you know?
Yeah. You'll have your patches, but yeah, the United States will not be what it even is today, which you're right. You can see the decline in the roads we drive on in the cities. We can blame, governors and mayors all day long, which they are part of the problem as well. But at the end of the day, it's the Fed. It's the Fed. It's federal.
I like Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is actually impressing me quite a bit. She seems to have her act together. So she is trying to kill Operation Mockingbird. And babe, why don't you tell us about the law that was passed by Mr. Obama?
Oh yeah, we talked about it last week. The Smith-Mundt Act that legalized propaganda to be used against American citizens. Before then we could use propaganda against other countries, but never against our own people. And of course, this is nothing but legalizing Operation Mockingbird, which there were all kinds of hearings about this in the 50s and the 60s, and they
never denied it.
Never denied it. Always said that it was, though, optional, that they didn't have to participate in it. However, the goal was to make it so that the American citizens didn't know truth from fiction. That was the goal. And here we are. I mean, it is amazing to me, some of the conversations that I have with my patients in the hospital, and they have no idea what the truth is. No clue.
Right. I mean, I've always said it. Most people just want to be left alone. They want to, watch their TV, go to bed at night, tuck their kids in, get up, go to work, and do the same thing and just be left alone. And they don't want to have to understand how to manage money, understand read up so that they're not bamboozled every morning when they wake up. You know, they just want a normal life, and you just can't do that anymore.
No.
You have to understand what the Federal Reserve does. You have to keep an eye on your government. You have to understand money. You have to manage it well, because our dollar is in the toilet. So, and you're going to have to pretty much find 2, 3, 4 jobs just to keep up with the fact that inflation's destroying the buying power.
But wasn't
It
that
just sucks.
always the price of a constitutional republic? And it's what we as American citizens have forgotten for probably the last 200 years. That was the price of a constitutional republic, the price of personal responsibility.
That's right.
Within this government. And we
you can look at the nails in the coffin,
mm-hmm.
the Civil War,
mm-hmm.
the Federal Reserve, the welfare system in the 60s. And I think the welfare system in the 60s just really destroyed not just people's ability to take responsibility. Oh, and public school. You could say that too. And public school
dumbed everyone down to what's really
destroyed the ability for people to take care of themselves and understand that they are the ones running their family.
Right.
And they usurped everything to the government because of welfare, because of public school.
Right.
And churches did the same thing. Churches were where people went for help. Churches don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. They haven't for a long time. I mean, they help on the fray and they do, whatever, but people don't go to churches anymore for help. They go to the government. And yes, absolutely. That's what's destroyed this republic.
Right. Yeah.
No question.
Mike Parsons, you have to know the difference between rights and privileges. Yes. And the guts to choose rights as opposed to privileges.
Amen.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Well, and I've seen on X and also on Instagram where these kids, and I say kids, they're graduating high school or getting out of college. They don't want to work,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of them on welfare. And when the Trump administration started saying, "Well, you're not getting these things on your EBIT cards anymore," they threw a fit, and then they're like, "Well, go out and work." Well, no, I don't want to work. And you see these people going, "No, I'm allergic to work," and all these people just crying on social media about that they don't want to work. And I think God said, if you don't work, you don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I had a conversation with a patient who wanted to know my thoughts on all of the reforms going on with Medicare and Medicaid. And, shouldn't I consider if my mother or my sister or my daughter ever needed them? And I said, well, but was the system sustainable? And he said, well, I mean, probably not. But I said, if it's not sustainable, then it means that we have to reform it. And yes, reform initially hurts. That's the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't know where you land on this, but I could tell you the medical industry and that cabal that
mm-hmm.
was created, I think in the 30s to control licenses and all of that.
The Rockefellers.
That kept people out.
The Rothschilds.
Yeah, that kept people out of the medical industry was the beginnings of what we have now.
Yeah.
And the Rockefellers were really clear that vaccines were very much a part of the depopulation program.
Yeah.
And they were into depopulation. So here's just like Bill Gates. Bill Gates, I mean, he's clearly a depopulationist. And he's even talked about, he claims that he misspoke, but he talked about using vaccines to create depopulation. But yet the Rockefellers were very clear about it in their documentation. And so they have a system in place but but before they kill you, they want to get rich off of you first. Mm-hmm. So they're killing you slowly and making money off of you. That's pretty much how that works. Oh, and Babe had a good video that she was looking at that basically the guy was saying it doesn't matter what truth institution we have, it's been taken over. Like all of the quote unquote experts that were trained to look to, it's been completely taken over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't trust anything. You know.
That's the other thing is people just want to believe that, you know, what the medical industry is telling me is right, what the government is telling me is truth, what, you know, my dollar is still worth something. And it's just, man, it just sucks because we're so far gone beyond that now that you have to be an expert in almost anything and have at least 2 or 3 income streams,
right?
Or you're not going to survive.
Well, now AI is coming along, so I guess we should probably talk about that. Now, look, I like AI so far. I like Grock. I like, you know, my articles.
Right. It can start writing your books now, Mike.
I have a good editor. I don't have to like beg people to edit my stuff anymore. And, you know, I've got a ton of research. Yes. I've got tons and tons of articles, and I throw that stuff in there and I tell it what I want. And I mean, it cleans it up really nice. So, I mean, I like that aspect of it. But, you know, last week, Grock and I got into a debate on my X.
No, I did too.
Grock wanted a piece of Sullivan, so I had to whoop it.
All right. So my question is, how long did you go with it? And I'll tell you how long I went.
You know, Grock wanted to have the last word. I wanted to have the last word because I'm very prideful, and so it went on a lot longer than it should have. But
yes, I understand.
The context of the debate was Jake Shields is an MMA guy, and he knows Andrew Torba like I know Andrew Torba, and Andrew Torba had a group or something on X, and it was pretty popular. And Jake Shields made a post about something, and I don't know what it was about Israel, and Grock took it down. And so Jake Shields, myself, and others were like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And Grock 3 was pretty base. Like Grock 3, I don't know what happened, but it was like spitting out truth left and right on Israel and the Holocaust and all kinds of stuff. And then Grock 4 came along, total opposite. And it's trying to censor people now. And so I said, well, Grock, it's kind of interesting that all this censorship just happened after the ADL announced that they're passing a bill that will soon become law that will fine social media companies like X and Musk $5 million a day if they don't turn over the rebellious anti-Israel folks here on X.
Now that's not law yet.
I know it's not law yet, but it's a bill, and yes, obviously it's going to pass because AIPAC's installed all their people to vote. In fact, Massey is the one that said, I think, that it's like Israel basically writes a lot of these bills. Like our congressmen don't even do it. They write them for them, and then they just get their signature. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to pass as a law. It's solely unconstitutional, but that's where we are. And if AI has all that power that starts taking away our rights, and I'm really scared that people aren't going to read books anymore. They're not going to fact check for themselves anymore. I think it's training people to just rely lazily on whatever AI, Grock, or whatever ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's my concern as well. You know, I'm a revisionist historian. I don't like a lot of the core historians that have written history, especially American history, because
it's a lie.
I mean, yeah, you think about what we're seeing in our government today of lies. Well, think about the history that's been written.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, you know, written by the winners, not the victims. So, yeah, that's my concern, is that people are going to lose the ability to see through the lie because they don't read. They take whatever tool they have, AI tool, ask a question, and they're like, well, okay, that gave it to me. And it would have given me the revisionist version. Well, no, because you got programmers in the back. You know, Elon has said, look, Grock is going to be the most, the one that is the most truthful. But to your point, 3 and 4, you saw a shift. I got into an argument with them about, what constitutes a real Jew.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just everything I said. Well, this and it.
Well, I got into that debate with Grock as well. And what Grock does, couldn't answer my rebuttal, but what Grock does is it pulls, like I put in all these genetic tests.
Yep.
Harvard, I mean, all of these places. And they said, oh, that's fake news. That's been debunked by these tests over here done by Israel Genetics. So I said, this kind of reminds me of climate change, Grock. You know how all these people pay for these scientific research and studies and how they program their bots to say that these studies over here are debunked and they only promote their studies. And I said, Grock, how can you prove to me that it's not your programmers that's really, running the show here and telling me what's debunked and what's not, because I know this is not debunked.
Right. And we have a generation that'll forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Look, there's a lot of good things. It's going to replace public school. It's going to replace education. This legacy way that the school system teaches our kids, it's all going to go away. I mean, my hope was the internet would replace it. It didn't. It did a little bit, but I think AI will. But that's the fear, is that, okay, it will do a good thing, but will it blind the ones that it teaches to the fact that you have to still question everything, right?
Right. Well, our educational system that we have today already discourages one from questioning. They want mindless people that simply memorize and then vomit memorization. That's all they want. My brother, he's a PhD, and he said one of the most disheartening things when he was a professor at Lipscomb in Nashville. So one of the most disheartening things was that kids did not know how to come up with any kind of research on their own. What Mike does is he develops his own theories, and then he has to research to prove these theories or to disprove them. These kids have no idea how to do that. They don't know how to think on their own. All they know how to do is find what somebody else has written and pretty much plagiarize it and present it as their own.
And Grock will do that. Like, you could use Grock to play. And this is one thing I'm noticing from Grock. I've had to pull a couple of my articles because I trusted its references. Like, I will type in, I say, I want a word for word verbatim quote from such and such scholar, because I've caught Grock giving me a quote that is not a real quote. It's a synthesis of a quote, but it portrays it as a direct quote from scholar X. And it'll say footnote on page whatever, 154. Well, I own about half of the books that Grock is, and hey, Grock, there's nothing on page 150. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. It's it might be in this book over here. And it's like, you can't do that, man. I mean, you can't.
Well, and it's only as good as someone on the internet has put that book's reference, because Grock doesn't have, like, all those books behind you. It hasn't downloaded all of those books. It only references where those books have been talked about on the internet.
Right.
And a lot of times people quote crap all the time, that they've quote unquote read that's not right.
But
So,
it's
yeah.
dishonest. It's dishonest for it to produce a quote,
Yes, absolutely.
pretending that it's an actual quote when it's just it's made up its own quote of that person.
Right.
It's amazing. So there's a lot of stuff that's cool about it, but there's a lot of stuff that they need to fix. But what's that program called off the Lord of the Rings?
Palantir.
Palantir. I guess in Lord of the Rings, Palantir is this what, stone or
It's a stone, several stones made by the elves so that they could look as to what was going on in distant places. But it was also used to gather information. So apparently this is where Palantir got its name from.
Interesting.
Peter Thiel's Palantir. Yes.
So we're watching somebody and they said, well, you know, if you're gonna put your parent in an old folks place and the name of the place is called Hannibal Lecter, you know, you might not want to put them there. Like, you know, if they're gonna be so honest about their name, you know, they're kind of gaslighting you there a little bit.
That's true. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene bought their stock, and a lot of other people in Congress bought their stock right before the word came out. You know, when Trump came out and the government signed a contract with them. I can't remember the site. There's a great website that tracks all of the federal government, the House and the Senate, and all of our elected officials and what they invest in, and tells you basically you got to pay a fee to be a member, but they'll tell you, okay, here's what they're investing in. You may want to get in now and all this stuff.
Wow.
You know, because Pelosi, she made, I think, what was it? The quote was 400% or 500%.
Yeah.
I mean, she was beating all of the stock analysts and everybody. She was killing it for years.
Yeah. Disgusting. Filthy woman. Filthy woman. You know, on that note, there was I saw a video of all of our politicians that have dual citizenship with Israel, and it floored me. I mean, there are so many. I mean, it's not just that they're all Zionists, it's that a lot of them have dual citizenship, which should be illegal.
Illegal.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. There was a new poll. Now, this came out, this is about a month ago. I caught it a few days ago. The Hebrew University poll shows that roughly 82% of Jewish Israelis agree with the genocidal idea that there are no innocents in Gaza.
Oh, yeah. They're just animals. That's what the Talmud teaches them.
Well, so I had talked about, you know,
they think they're living in the Old Testament, like they're Amorites or something. It's just crazy.
Well, did you see today that there's a bunch of Torah Jews coming out saying that they don't stand with Israel, they stand with Palestine? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
And they're saying that there is no state of Israel, that we can live anywhere. In fact, God condemns them for having a state. I don't know where
that was another thing I debated Grock on. I said, you know, interesting, Grock, how you are adopting the ADL's definition of anti-Semitism. I said, why don't you accept the definition from other Jewish groups that believe that Israel and Zionists are performing anti-Semitism against them? Where are you protecting them, Grock? Why isn't your definition wider? And it just did not have.
I know. Then it starts giving you like soft language. Well, this and well, it kind of starts, because it did that with me too. It just started kind of going soft, and I'm like, yeah, all right, forget it.
It just goes,
and I'm just like, all right, I got to stop.
It's programmed to give you an answer, and it will not think it through. It's after a while, anyway.
Right. Yeah, no, that's when I realized I'm like, I'm sitting here arguing with a computer.
I know. But I mean, I did it just for shit and giggles, for other people to watch.
No,
but
I was hoping I was training it. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm training it.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
That was kind of the hope. That's
Yeah.
kind of how it was sold, right? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
it's going to learn, we're going to have this
Right.
hive mentality. It's just going to collect all the information out there and be able to think on its own and kind of connect the dots. No, it's still beholden. But if you go to Gab and go to Gab's AI, Andrew Torba, I actually used Gab's AI to debate a little bit with Grock, and Gab was much more impressive, much more honest.
Right.
but I will tell you that is how AI is trained, because my brother is no longer a professor. He actually trains AI for Meta.
Boo.
So, and that is, I mean, he is given a certain amount of time and he has to get AI to answer him within a certain number of questions. And he only has a certain number of questions that he can sort of get AI to track with him to get the specific response that they are looking for. And he has a certain amount of time that he has to do that.
And nothing against your brother, but I used to argue with a couple that would entertain me that they were professors in history, specifically around the Civil War. And I would argue with them. The ones that would entertain me, most of them look down at their noses at me like, oh, you peasant, you know nothing, just because I read and quote websites and, I'm a revisionist. They're like, oh no. But anyway, the few that I argued with is ridiculous. Some of the things they'd say. And it's crazy that they're the ones training these. I mean,
right.
It's insane because it's like, no, they're wrong.
Right.
It's like, a lot of these pastors and ministers that graduate seminary and they're just like, they've been brainwashed for so long that they just regurgitate. And you're like, no, it's not even biblical. And you're so blind, you can't even see that it's not biblical.
Right.
Because you've been inundated with that.
Agreed. Yeah. AI is only as good as the person behind it.
Yeah.
Or people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're up at our hour limit there, but you guys have anything you want to close with?
Yeah, I've got a quote I saw this morning from R.C. Sproul Jr.
Well, that's better than Paula White.
Right. He wrote a book. What was it?
Several books.
Almighty. What was the one? Almighty. Almighty. Anyway, The Sovereignty of God. It's a great book. I've read it like twice, but that's why it caught my eye. Anyway, he says, I disagree with everyone but me. Of course, I'm not right about everything. Nonetheless, everything I believe, I believe. I don't believe I'm always right, but I do always believe I'm right.
Well said.
That's great.
My wife's learning that I'm always right. Aren't you, honey?
No. Only in history.
I disagree with everyone but me.
Well, let's see our comments of Mike Parsons been knocking it out of the park here on Israel. And
this is interesting.
I'm going to figure out how to get him on the show. I'll do that this week. We got to have him on. I've got some questions to ask this guy.
God, you ready?
But he says, have you heard about Musk being the front guy for a tunnel under Nashville running from downtown to the airport? Have you felt the rumbling under the ground in this area? The rats have tunnels to escape to the underground cities throughout America. Yeah, I mean, they were building them in Hawaii, underground bunkers. Who was it? Leonardo DiCaprio and Oprah building,
people have been talking about this.
Zuckerberg did too.
Yeah.
I mean, truck drivers have been talking about it, even though they're not supposed to. I mean, they drive down supplies to these stupid tunnels, and they even have a pilot truck stop somewhere that is not even a functional pilot, and behind it they have these tunnels, and it's disgusting. But and that's why a lot of people want nuclear war. Like the elites want nuclear war because they have these places where they know that they can go, where we can't go, and they would just like to start all over, with their elite genes and their whole eugenics mentality.
Yeah.
I don't think God's going to allow that.
No,
Oh, no.
He's not.
Oh no. Our true blessed assurance and rested peace is knowing the sovereignty of God, and that all of this has already been worked out according to his plan.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yes, it has.
That's why I married my wife. She's a preterist and a Calvinist. She's a keeper.
It's true.
All right, guys. Well, we love you. Come back next week, and we'll probably be on either Sunday or Monday. We'll see. All right, Mark, take it easy, brother.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.